The worst day of her life started with a lie and ended in his bed. She was supposed to be invisible. He was supposed to destroy her father. But when their eyes met across a ballroom, something shifted. Something neither of them could undo. He took what was never meant to be his, what could start a war. She gave what she could never get back, and now, in the cold light of morning, with his voice still echoing in her ear, "You belong to me now." She realizes the most dangerous thing in this room isn't the gun on his nightstand. It's what her father will do when he finds out she lost her virginity to his enemy. Welcome to Afro-Korean Stories TV, besties. Please like, share, and subscribe. The silk sheets felt like chains. Nalani opened her eyes slowly, her body aching in unfamiliar ways, her mind thick with the remnants of champagne and something far more intoxicating. Him. Lee Ji-hoon. The name alone made her chest tighten. She turned her head carefully, half expecting him to be gone, hoping he would be. But he wasn't. He sat in the leather chair by the window, fully dressed in black slacks and a crisp white shirt, his sleeves rolled to his elbows. A cigarette burned between his fingers, smoke curling lazily toward the ceiling. He was watching her. "You're awake," he said quietly, his voice smooth and unbothered, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Nalani pulled the sheet tighter around herself, suddenly aware of how exposed she was, not just physically, emotionally, spiritually. He had stripped her of more than her clothes last night. "I need to leave," she whispered. "No." The word was soft, but absolute. She stared at him, her pulse quickening. "You can't keep me here." Ji-hoon took a slow drag from his cigarette, his dark eyes never leaving hers. "I'm not keeping you. But if you walk out that door, you'll regret it within the hour." "Why?" "Because your father's men are waiting downstairs." Her blood went cold. He stubbed out the cigarette and stood, moving toward her with the controlled grace of a predator. "Last night wasn't an accident, Nalani. It was a declaration." "A declaration of what?" "That you're mine now, and your father knows it." 3 weeks earlier, Nalani had always known her father was dangerous. Victor Kane didn't build an empire by playing fair. He built it with blood, fear, and calculated cruelty. But she had never been part of that world. She was the secret. The daughter he kept hidden in London, educated in private schools, shielded from the violence that funded her life, until the night he summoned her home. "There's a gala in Seoul," her father said over the phone, his voice clipped and businesslike. "You'll attend. Wear something elegant, and stay close to me." "Why?" Nalani asked, unease prickling her skin. "Because Lee Ji-hoon will be there." The name meant nothing to her then. It should have. She arrived in Seoul on a gray afternoon, the city sprawling beneath her like a labyrinth of glass and steel. Her father's driver met her at the airport, a silent man with cold eyes who drove her to a luxury hotel without speaking. Her father was waiting in the suite, standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River. He didn't turn when she entered. "You're late." "The flight was delayed," Nalani said, setting down her bags. "Excuses are weakness." He finally faced her, his expression carved from stone. "You'll meet someone tonight. Someone important." "Who?" "A business associate. His name is Park Min-suk. He's interested in forming an alliance." Something in his tone made her stomach twist. "What kind of alliance?" "The permanent kind." Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. "You'll marry him within the month." The room tilted. "You can't be serious." "I'm always serious. Min-seok controls the southern ports. This marriage secures my expansion into Korea." He straightened his cufflinks. "You'll be grateful. He's wealthy, connected, and willing to overlook your background." The casual cruelty of it stole her breath. "I'm not a business deal." "You're whatever I need you to be." He moved past her toward the door. "The gala starts at 8. Don't embarrass me." The door closed behind him with a quiet click that sounded like a prison cell locking. That evening, the Peninsula Hotel ballroom glittered with wealth and danger disguised as sophistication. Crystal chandeliers cast fractured light across marble floors. Women dripped with diamonds. Men spoke in low voices, their words carrying the weight of empires. Nalani moved through the crowd in a black gown that hugged her curves, the fabric pooling at her feet. Her natural hair was swept into an elegant updo, soft curls framing her face. She felt out of place, like a lamb wandering into a den of wolves. Her father stood across the room, deep in conversation with men whose smiles didn't reach their eyes. He had barely acknowledged her since they arrived, except to introduce her to Park Min-seok, a man in his 50s with calculating eyes and hands that lingered too long when he kissed her knuckles. "You're even more beautiful than your father promised," Min-seok had said, his breath hot against her skin. Nalani had smiled politely and excused herself the moment she could. Now she stood near the bar, her fingers trembling slightly as she reached for a glass of champagne from a passing waiter. "Careful." The voice came from behind her, low and edged with amusement. Nalani turned and froze. He was the most beautiful man she had ever seen. Tall, easily 6 feet, with sharp cheekbones and dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her. His black suit fit him like a weapon, tailored to perfection. But it was the way he looked at her that stole her breath, like he had been waiting for her, like he already knew every secret she kept. "Careful," she repeated, finding her voice. "The champagne here is terrible," he said smoothly, taking the glass from her hand and setting it on a nearby table. His fingers brushed hers, a whisper of contact that sent electricity up her arm. "And you're Victor Kane's daughter." Her stomach dropped. "How do you?" "I know everything about your father." He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. The subtle scent of his cologne, cedar and something darker, wrapped around her. "And now, I know about you." "Who are you?" "Lee Ji-hoon." The air shifted. She recognized the name now, her father's rival. The Korean Mafia boss who had been systematically dismantling her father's operations across Asia. The man her father feared more than anyone. The man who could destroy everything. "You should walk away," Nalani said, her voice steadier than she felt. Ji-hoon smiled, slow and dangerous. "Should I?" "My father will kill you if he sees us talking." "Your father," Ji-hoon murmured, his gaze dropping briefly to her lips before returning to her eyes, "has already lost. He just doesn't know it yet." "Lost what?" "Everything." He took another step closer, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. His ports, his connections, his empire. A pause. "His daughter. I'm not his to lose." "Aren't you?" His head tilted slightly. "He's selling you to Park Min-seok, a marriage alliance to secure territory he's already bleeding." Ji-hoon's jaw tightened. "You're a bargaining chip, a pretty piece on his chessboard." Nalani's breath caught. "How do you know about—" "I told you. I know everything." His voice dropped lower. "Including the fact that you hate this, that you've spent your whole life being invisible, and now he's making you visible for all the wrong reasons." She should have been afraid, should have walked away, but something in his eyes held her captive. "What do you want from me?" "Tonight? Just this." He extended his hand. "One dance." "That's all?" "That's how it starts." Nalani knew it was a mistake the moment his hand settled on her waist. The music swelled, something slow and haunting, and Ji-hoon pulled her into the rhythm with practiced ease. "You dance well," she said, trying to focus on anything but the way his hand burned through the thin fabric of her dress. "I do a lot of things well." His thumb traced a small circle against her hip, and she felt it everywhere. "You're nervous." I'm dancing with my father's enemy. Of course I'm nervous. I'm not your enemy, Nalani. Hearing her name on his lips sent a shiver through her. You don't even know me. I know your father keeps you hidden because you're his weakness. I know you've spent your whole life being protected from the truth. I know you speak 3 languages, studied art history at Oxford, and haven't been home in 6 years because he only calls when he needs something. Her steps faltered. How? And I know, he continued, his voice dropping to something intimate and devastating, that the moment I saw you tonight, everything changed. She looked up at him, her heart pounding. Changed how? I was going to destroy your father, burn everything he built to the ground. His jaw tightened, a muscle jumping. Now, I'm going to take you from him instead. You can't just watch me. The song ended. Jihoon released her, but his eyes never left hers. Your father is meeting with the Cheong Syndicate tomorrow at noon. He's finalizing the terms of your engagement. He slipped something into her hand. A phone. When you're ready to leave, call the number saved in here. I'll be waiting. Why would you help me? Because no one should be sold. He stepped back, his expression unreadable. Not even a rival's daughter. Then he was gone, disappearing into the crowd like smoke. Nalani stood frozen on the empty dance floor, the phone hot in her palm, her world tilting on its axis. Later that night, she couldn't sleep. The hotel suite felt suffocating, the walls pressing in. Nalani paced the bedroom, the phone Jihoon had given her burning a hole in her clutch. Call him. Don't call him. He was dangerous, her father's enemy, a man who controlled half of Seoul's underworld. But he had looked at her like she mattered, like she was more than a transaction. At 2 a.m, her own phone buzzed, a message from her father. The engagement will be announced at breakfast. Min Seok is pleased. Don't disappoint me. Her hands shook as she read it again. And again. She was out of time. Nalani grabbed Jihoon's phone and dialed the only number saved. He answered on the first ring. I was beginning to think you wouldn't call. Her voice cracked. I need to leave. Now. Are you packed? No, I can't do this. I can't marry him. Then don't. His voice was calm, steady. There's a car waiting in the underground garage. Black sedan. License plate 38447. Get in it. Leave everything else. My father will know. He has people everywhere. Let him know. Something dark threaded through his tone. I want him to. The car was exactly where Jihoon said it would be. The driver didn't speak, didn't ask questions. He simply drove, navigating through Seoul's empty streets with precision. Nalani watched the city lights blur past, her heart hammering. What was she doing? Running away with a man she didn't know? A criminal? A killer? But when she closed her eyes, all she could see was Park Min-seok's calculating gaze, her father's cold dismissal, Jihoon's dark eyes, seeing her. The car stopped in front of a sleek high-rise in Gangnam. The driver opened her door, gesturing toward the entrance. Penthouse, private elevator. He's waiting. She stepped out on shaking legs. The elevator opened directly into the apartment, all glass and steel and minimalist elegance. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the city sprawling below like a kingdom. Jihoon stood by those windows, his back to her, hands in his pockets. He had removed his jacket, his white shirt stretched across broad shoulders. You came, he said without turning. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. He finally faced her, and the intensity in his eyes made her breath catch. You chose me. I chose not to be sold. Same thing. He moved toward her slowly, like approaching something fragile. Are you afraid? Yes. Of me? Of everything. Jihoon stopped an arm's length away. Your father knows you're gone by now. His men are searching every hotel, every airport. They'll find your phone signal within hours. Then you're safe here. This building is mine. Every resident, every guard, every camera. No one enters without my permission." His hand lifted slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he tucked a curl behind her ear. "You're under my protection now." "Why?" The word came out broken. "Why are you doing this?" "Because," he said quietly, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. "The first time I saw your photograph, I knew your father would destroy you to save himself. And I've done many terrible things in my life, Nalani. But I won't stand by and watch him destroy something beautiful." Tears pricked her eyes. "You don't know me." "Then let me." The next morning, Nalani woke in a guest bedroom that was larger than her entire London flat. The bed was impossibly soft, the sheets Egyptian cotton. Sunlight poured through gauzy curtains. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then it all came rushing back. She found Jehoon in the kitchen, cooking. The sight was so unexpected that she stopped in the doorway, staring. "You cook?" "I do a lot of things that might surprise you." He glanced over his shoulder, and something flickered in his eyes when he saw her in the oversized shirt she'd found in the closet. "Hungry?" "Starving." He plated eggs and rice, setting it before her at the kitchen island. The domesticity of it felt surreal. "What happens now?" Nalani asked, picking up her chopsticks. "Now, you rest. Recover. Decide what you want." "My father will come for me. I'm counting on it." She looked up sharply. "What?" Jehoon leaned against the counter, his expression unreadable. "Your father and I have been at war for 3 years. He's taken my shipments, burned my warehouses, killed my men. And I've done the same to him." His jaw tightened. "But this, taking his daughter? This is how I win." The food turned to ash in her mouth. "So I am just a bargaining chip, just to a different man." "No." He moved toward her, his eyes fierce. "You're not a chip. You're the queen, and I'm keeping you off his board entirely. By making me yours? By giving you a choice he never did." Jehoon's hand covered hers on the counter. "Stay with me, willingly. Build a life that's yours. Or leave. I'll give you money, documents, a new identity. You'll never have to see either of us again." Nalani stared at him, her heart racing. "That's not... You just let me go? If that's what you want." His thumb traced circles on her wrist. "But I hope it's not." 3 days later, she stayed. Not because she had to, because leaving felt impossible now. Jehoon was different from what she expected. He didn't lock her in, didn't threaten her. He simply existed around her like gravity, quiet, constant, unavoidable. He worked from home, his office door always open. She caught glimpses of him on phone calls in rapid Korean, his voice cold and commanding. Men in dark suits came and went, bowing deeply before leaving. But with her, he was gentle, patient, watching. "You don't have to stay in the penthouse," he said one morning over coffee. "There's a car downstairs, a driver. Go wherever you want." Nalani looked up, suspicious. "You're letting me leave?" "I'm letting you breathe." His eyes met hers over the rim of his cup. "I told you, I'm not your prison. But I am your protection." She wanted to argue, to prove she didn't need him. Instead, she took the keys. Seoul was overwhelming and beautiful. Nalani wandered through Insadong, the traditional neighborhood alive with art galleries and tea houses. Her hair was covered with a silk scarf, and designer sunglasses hid her face. For a few hours, she felt free, normal, until she noticed the man following her. He was good, staying far enough back to seem coincidental. But Nalani had grown up around dangerous men. She knew how to spot a shadow. Panic fluttered in her chest. She ducked into a bookstore, weaving through the narrow aisles, her pulse racing. When she emerged on the other side, the man was gone. But another had taken his place, closer this time. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands and dialed. Jihoon answered on the first ring. "Where are you?" "I don't know." "A bookstore near Anguk Station." "Stay inside. Don't move. I'm coming." The line went dead. Nalani pressed her back against a shelf, her breathing shallow. Minutes felt like hours. She watched through the shop window as people passed. Any one of them could be. Then she saw him. Jihoon moved through the crowd like a predator, his expression deadly calm. He wasn't running, wasn't hurried, but people stepped aside instinctively. The men following her melted away into alleys before he even reached the door. He found her in the back of the store, her eyes wide with residual fear. "Come here," he said quietly. She went to him, and his arms closed around her immediately. Solid, warm, safe. "You're okay," he murmured against her hair. "I've got you." "Who were they?" "Your father's men." His hand tightened on her waist. "He knows you're in Seoul." Nalani paced the living room while Jihoon made calls, his voice low and lethal in Korean. When he finally hung up, his expression was carved from stone. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now, we prepare." "For what?" "War." He crossed to the bar, pouring 2 glasses of whiskey. He handed her one. "Your father put out a bounty. $500,000 for information on your location. $1 million for your return." The glass shook in her hand. "I should leave Seoul. Go somewhere he can't find me." "There's nowhere he can't reach." Jihoon downed his whiskey in one swallow. "Your father has connections in every major city. Police, politicians, criminals. You run. He'll find you within a week." "Then what do I do?" He looked at her for a long moment, something heavy passing behind his eyes. "You trust me to end this. How?" "By making you untouchable." "I don't understand." Jihoon set down his glass and moved toward her, his presence overwhelming. "In my world, there are rules, lines that don't get crossed. One of them is this: you don't touch another man's woman. Not his wife. Not his lover. Not anyone under his protection who shares his bed." Her breath caught. "You want to. I want your father to know that if he comes for you, he'll start a war he can't win. Every family in Seoul will side with me, because you'll be mine. Publicly. Irrevocably. That's insane. That's survival." His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her lips. "I know what I'm asking. I know it's too much, too fast. But it's the only way to keep you safe." Nalani's mind spun. "And after? When my father backs down? What then?" "Then you decide if you want to stay." "And if I don't?" Pain flickered across his face, there and gone. "Then I'll let you go." She should have said no, should have demanded another option. Instead, she whispered, "When?" "Tonight." That evening, there was no ceremony, no witnesses, just the 2 of them in his bedroom, the city lights paint shadows across the walls. Jihoon poured wine, his movements careful. "We don't have to do this." "Yes, we do." Nalani took the glass from him, her hand steady now. "You said it yourself. It's the only way." "There's always another way." "Name one." He couldn't. They both knew it. She set down her wine and stepped closer, her heart hammering. "I need you to promise me something." "Anything." "When this is over, when I'm safe, don't make me stay if I want to leave." Something cracked in his expression. "I promise. And don't make me regret this. Never." He kissed her then, soft at first, questioning. But when she melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt, something broke. His control shattered like glass. Clothes fell away slowly, reverently. His hands mapped her curves like he was memorizing her, every dip and swell committed to memory. Her fingers traced the scars on his chest, one near his ribs, another across his shoulder blade. Each one a story she wanted to know. Nalani. Her name was a prayer on his lips. He laid her on the bed, his body covering hers, and for a moment he just looked at her. Really looked. Like she was something precious. Something worth fighting for. "You're so beautiful," he whispered. Then there was only sensation. His mouth, his hands, the impossible heat of him. Pain gave way to something else, something that stole her breath and remade her from the inside out. And when it was over, when they lay tangled together in the darkness, Jehoon pressed his forehead to hers. "You're mine now," he murmured, "and I'm yours. Whatever comes next, we face it together." Nalani closed her eyes, her heart too full for words. She didn't know that morning would change everything. She woke to find him watching her, already dressed, a cigarette burning between his fingers. "You're awake," he said quietly. She pulled the sheet tighter. "I need to leave." "No, you can't keep me here." "I'm not keeping you." He took a drag, smoke curling. "But if you walk out that door, you'll regret it within the hour." "Why?" "Because your father's men are waiting downstairs." Fear lanced through her. "How?" "I broke your virginity on purpose," Jehoon said, his voice flat. "You belong to me now, and I made sure your father knows it." The words hit her like a physical blow. "What did you do?" "What I had to." He stubbed out the cigarette. "Your father received a message this morning. Photos. Proof that you're mine. He won't come for you now. He can't. Not without losing face in front of every family in Asia." Nalani stared at him, horror and betrayal washing through her. "You planned this? All of it?" "Yes." "The bookstore? The men following me?" "Mine. To scare you back here. To make you feel like you had no choice." "You bastard." Tears burned her eyes. "You manipulated me. I protected you. By taking away my choice?" She laughed bitterly. "You're just like him." Jehoon flinched. "I'm nothing like your father." "Really? Because right now, I can't tell the difference." She grabbed her clothes, dressing quickly, her hands shaking with rage and humiliation. Jehoon didn't try to stop her. "Where will you go?" he asked quietly. "Anywhere but here." "Nalani, don't." She turned to face him, tears streaming down her face. "Don't say my name. Don't pretend this was anything but revenge." Then she walked out, leaving him standing alone in the bedroom, where he'd just destroyed them both. The elevator doors closed, and Nalani felt like she was drowning. Her reflection stared back at her from the polished steel. Mascara smudged, lips swollen, wearing yesterday's clothes. She looked exactly like what she was, a woman who'd been used. The lobby was empty at dawn, just a security guard who nodded politely as she passed. The morning air hit her face like a slap, cold and unforgiving. She had no phone, no money, no idea where to go. She walked, soul stretched before her, the city waking slowly. Street vendors began setting up their carts, the smell of haddock and fish cakes filling the air. Nalani's stomach churned, but not from hunger. "I broke your virginity on purpose." The words played on loop in her mind, each repetition twisting the knife deeper. She'd thought, God, she'd been so stupid. She'd thought maybe he cared, that the way he looked at her meant something real. But it was all a game. She was just another move on the board, a piece he'd taken from her father. She ended up at the Han River, the water gray under the overcast sky. Joggers passed by. Couples walked hand in hand, life continuing as if hers hadn't just shattered. Her phone, her real phone, was still at her father's hotel. But even if she had it, who would she call? Her father, who'd tried to sell her. Her friends in London, who lived in a world that no longer felt real. Miss Kane. She spun around. A man stood a few feet away, older, distinguished, wearing an expensive suit. 2 more men flanked him, bodyguards. "Who are you?" "My name is Choi Sang-woo. I work for your father." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "He's been very worried about you." Fear spiked through her. "I'm not going back to him." "I'm afraid that's not your decision anymore." Sang-woo gestured, and the bodyguards moved closer. "Your father has been very patient, Miss Kane, but his patience has limits." Nalani backed away, her heart hammering. "Touch me, and Lee Ji-hoon will what?" Sang-woo laughed. "Start a war over a woman he used for revenge? I don't think so." He pulled out his phone, showing her the screen. "Your father received these this morning. Very illuminating. But Lee Ji-hoon made a critical mistake." The photos made her stomach turn. Her and Ji-hoon, intimate, damning. But there was something else. A document. "What is that?" "A contract, signed by Lee Ji-hoon 3 weeks ago, agreeing to deliver you to your father by month's end in exchange for territory in Busan." Sang-woo's smile widened. "Did he tell you that part? That this was always business?" The world tilted. "You're lying." "Am I?" Ask yourself. Why would Seoul's most powerful man risk everything for a stranger? Why would he take you in, protect you, seduce you? Sang-woo stepped closer. Because he was paid to. And now that he's gotten what he wanted, proof that you're ruined, unusable by Park Min-sok, his job is done. No. But even as she said it, doubt crept in. Ji-hoon's cold voice this morning, the way he'd admitted to planning everything. "I broke your virginity on purpose." "Come quietly, Miss Kane. Your father is willing to overlook this indiscretion. You'll return to London, live comfortably, and we'll all forget this unfortunate episode." The bodyguards reached for her. "Let her go." The voice cut through the morning air like a blade. Nalani's head snapped up. Ji-hoon stood 20 feet away, hands in his pockets, his expression deadly calm. He wasn't alone. A dozen men materialized from cars, from shadows, surrounding them in seconds. Sang-woo's confidence faltered. "This doesn't concern you anymore, Lee. The contract is a forgery." Ji-hoon moved forward slowly, his eyes locked on Nalani. "Clever, though. I almost admire it. Did Victor make it himself, or did he hire someone?" "You can't prove—" "I don't have to." Ji-hoon stopped a few feet from Nalani, close enough that she could see the shadows under his eyes, the tension in his jaw. "Nalani knows the truth." "Do I?" Her voice cracked. "Because right now, I don't know anything anymore." Pain flashed across his face. "I know, and I'm sorry. But that contract is a lie. I never made a deal with your father. I would never—" He stopped, his hands curling into fists. "Just come with me. Please, let me explain. Why should I trust you?" "Because," he said quietly, "if I wanted to hurt you, I wouldn't have spent 3 weeks making sure you felt safe first. I wouldn't have given you a way out, and I sure as hell wouldn't be here right now, starting a war to get you back." Sang-woo laughed, touching. "But it doesn't change the facts. She's Victor Kane's daughter. She belongs to no one." Ji-hoon's voice dropped to something lethal. "And if you touch her, I'll burn everything your employer has built, starting with him." The standoff stretched, tension crackling like electricity. Nalani stood frozen between them, her mind spinning. Then Sang-woo's phone rang. He answered, his expression shifting from confident to pale in seconds. "Yes, sir. I understand." He hung up, his jaw tight. "It seems your threat carries weight, Lee. My employer has decided to reconsider." "Smart man." Sang-woo gestured to his men, and they retreated to their car. But before he left, he looked at Nalani. "Your father says to remember who you are, Miss Kane, and what happens to daughters who betray their families." Then they were gone. Nalani sat in silence while Jehoon drove, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. His men followed in 2 cars behind them, a convoy of protection. "Where are we going?" she finally asked. "Somewhere safe. Somewhere we can talk without interruption." "There's nothing to talk about." "Nalani, you admitted it. This morning. You said you planned everything, that you manipulated me into," her voice broke, "into last night." Jehoon pulled over abruptly, the car jerking to a stop on a quiet side street. He turned to face her, his eyes blazing. "I planned to protect you. That's all. The rest, what happened between us, that was real." How can I believe that? Because I'm terrified right now. The admission seemed to cost him. I've faced down rival families, survived assassination attempts, built an empire from nothing, and none of it scared me like the thought of you believing I don't care about you. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You said you broke my virginity on purpose, that I belong to you now. How is that not manipulation? It is. He reached for her hand, his touch gentle. And I'm sorry. I thought if I kept it transactional, if I made it about power and territory, it would hurt less when you eventually left. Because you will leave, Nalani. I know that. You should leave. You deserve better than this world. Better than me. Then why? Because I'm selfish. His thumb traced circles on her palm. Because the moment I saw you, something shifted. And every day since, I've been trying to convince myself this is still just revenge against your father. But it's not. It never was. She wanted to pull away, wanted to stay angry. But the way he looked at her, raw, vulnerable, desperate, made it impossible. The contract was fake, she whispered. Yes. Your father's trying to isolate you, make you think you have nowhere else to go. And the photos, his jaw tightened. I sent them to protect you. In my world, those photos make you untouchable. But I should have asked first, should have explained. I'm sorry. Nalani closed her eyes, exhaustion washing over her. I don't know what to believe anymore. Then don't believe anything. Just stay. For a few more days. Let me prove it to you. Prove what? That this is real. A safe house in the mountains. The house was small, traditional, tucked into the hills outside Seoul. Wood and paper screens, a koi pond in the courtyard, silence broken only by wind through pine trees. It belonged to my grandmother, Jehoon said, carrying her bag inside. No one knows about it except me. Nalani looked around the modest space, so different from his sleek penthouse. Why are we here? Because you need space, and I need you to see that I'm not trying to trap you. He set down the bag, maintaining careful distance. There's food in the kitchen, clean clothes in the bedroom. My men will patrol the perimeter, but they won't come inside unless there's danger. Where will you be? Wherever you want me to be. His eyes met hers. I can stay, or I can leave you alone. Your choice. She should have told him to leave, should have demanded answers, explanations, proof. Instead, she said, stay. They didn't talk about the morning, didn't talk about her father, or contracts, or revenge. Instead, Jehoon cooked, bulgogi and rice, kimchi and soup. They ate in comfortable silence, the weight between them heavy but not unbearable. Tell me about your grandmother, Nalani said finally. Jehoon looked up, surprised. She raised me after my parents died, taught me everything, how to cook, how to fight, how to survive. A small smile touched his lips. She was barely 5 feet tall, but she was the toughest person I ever knew. What happened to her? Cancer. 10 years ago. He set down his chopsticks. She made me promise to be better than my father, to use my power for more than just destruction. Have you kept that promise? I'm trying. His eyes found hers. But it's hard when you're born into a world built on violence. Why do you stay in it? Because leaving means abandoning everyone who depends on me. My men, their families, the people in my territory who need protection. He paused. In this world, there are predators and prey. I chose to be a predator, so others wouldn't have to be prey. Nalani studied him, this man who'd turned her world upside down. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? A monster. Maybe I am. No. She reached across the table, her hand covering his. Monsters don't cook dinner. Don't give people choices. Don't look at someone like they're worth dying for. His fingers intertwined with hers, holding on like she was an anchor. You're worth dying for, Nalani. I knew that the first night. How? Because you looked so lost in that ballroom, like you were drowning in a sea of people who didn't see you. And I thought, I know what that feels like, to be invisible even when everyone's looking. Her throat tightened. I see you. I know. He lifted her hand, pressing his lips to her knuckles. That's what scares me. Later that night, Nalani couldn't sleep. She found Jehoon on the back porch, staring at the stars scattered across the mountain sky. He'd changed into comfortable clothes, black pants and a simple shirt, looking more like a man than a mafia boss. Can't sleep either, he asked as she settled beside him. Too much in my head. Want to talk about it? She pulled her knees to her chest. My whole life I've been invisible. My father kept me hidden. My friends saw me as the quiet one, and my professors at Oxford barely remembered my name. And then you looked at me, and suddenly I felt seen. Real. You are real. But what if that's just the fantasy? What if the real me is boring and forgettable, and you're only interested because I'm Victor Kane's daughter? Jehoon turned to face her, his expression intense. Your father is the least interesting thing about you. You know what I notice? The way you bite your lip when you're thinking, how you take your coffee with too much sugar, that you read the last page of every book first because you hate surprises, that you speak French when you're nervous and switch to English when you're angry. How do you? Because I pay attention. Because every detail about you matters. He tucked a curl behind her ear. You're not invisible to me, Nalani. You're the only thing I see. She kissed him before she could second-guess it. Desperate, searching, needing to know if this was real. Jehoon groaned against her mouth, his control fraying. We shouldn't, he murmured, even as he pulled her closer. Why not? Because you're still angry, still hurt, and I don't want you doing something you'll regret. What if I don't regret it? His forehead pressed to hers, his breathing ragged. Nalani, I'm not drunk, not scared, not confused. She straddled his lap, her hands framing his face. I'm choosing this, choosing you. Not because I have to, but because I want to. You're going to kill me, he whispered. Good. This time, when they came together, it was different. Slower. A conversation in touches and sighs, learning each other without urgency. Jehoon carried her inside, laying her on the futon with reverence. Tell me if you want to stop, he said. I won't. Clothes fell away slowly. His mouth traced her collarbone, the curve of her breast, the soft skin of her stomach. Every touch was worship, every kiss a promise. And when he finally slid inside her, they moved together, like they'd been doing this for years, finding rhythm, finding pleasure, finding something that felt dangerously close to forever. After, wrapped in sheets and starlight, Nalani traced the scar on his shoulder. How did you get this? Knife fight when I was 19. I was too cocky, too slow. And this one? She touched the one near his ribs. Bullet. 3 years ago. The same war with your father. She went still. My father shot you? One of his men. Jihoon caught her hand, bringing it to his lips. It doesn't matter now. It does. He tried to kill you, and you're not him. You're not responsible for his choices. His eyes searched hers. Do you believe that? I'm trying to. That's enough. 3 days later, they existed in a bubble at the safe house, the outside world temporarily forgotten. Jihoon taught her to cook Korean food, laughing when she added too much gochugaru to the stew. They walked through the mountains, his hand warm in hers. At night, they explored each other with increasing confidence, learning what made the other gasp, sigh, surrender. But reality couldn't be ignored forever. On the 4th morning, Jihoon's phone rang. He answered in Korean, his expression darkening with each passing second. What is it? Nalani asked when he hung up. Your father. He's escalating. Jihoon ran a hand through his hair. He's been making alliances, families I thought were neutral, offering them territory, money, anything they want. To do what? To get you back. Fear coiled in her stomach. We should run. Leave Korea. Go somewhere he can't. There's nowhere he can't reach. Jihoon cupped her face. Running just delays the inevitable. We need to end this. How? By giving him what he wants. She jerked back. You're sending me back? No. Never. His eyes blazed. I'm giving him a meeting. Me and him, face to face. We settle this like men. He'll kill you. He'll try. A dangerous smile curved his lips. Let him. Jihoon, no. I've been preparing for this war for 3 years. I have more men, better weapons, stronger alliances. His hand slid down to her shoulders. But more importantly, I have something he doesn't. What? Something worth fighting for. The next 2 days were a flurry of activity. Men came and went from the safe house, carrying weapons and documents. Jihoon spent hours on the phone, speaking in rapid Korean, his voice cold and commanding. Nalani watched him transform from the gentleman who cooked her breakfast to the Mafia Boss who controlled half of Seoul. It should have scared her. Instead, it made her realize how much he'd been holding back, how careful he'd been not to frighten her. You don't have to do this, she said, the night before the meeting. They sat on the porch, the stars bright overhead. Jihoon's arm was around her shoulders, holding her close. Yes, I do. Your father won't stop until one of us is dead. He pressed a kiss to her temple. I'd rather it be him. What if something goes wrong? It won't. But what if? He turned her to face him, his expression fierce. Listen to me. Tomorrow, you stay here with my most trusted men. No matter what happens, no matter what you hear, you don't leave this house. Understand? Jihoon, promise me. Tears burned her eyes. I promise. Good. He kissed her, deep, thorough, devastating. Because I'm coming back to you. And when I do, we're leaving Korea. Starting over somewhere your father can never touch you. Where? Anywhere you want. Paris, Tokyo, New York. His hands framed her face. I'll build you a life so safe, so perfect, you'll forget this nightmare ever happened. I don't want to forget. She kissed him back. Not all of it. Not you. Nalani, I love you. The words hung between them, fragile and fierce. Jihoon's eyes widened, something breaking in his expression. You don't have to say it back, she added quickly. I just needed you to know. Before tomorrow. Before... He kissed her silently, his hands tangling in her hair. When he pulled back, his eyes were bright with emotion. I've loved you since the night you called me, he whispered. Since you trusted me when you had every reason not to. Since you looked at me like I was more than just a weapon. His thumb brushed her lips. I love you, Nalani Kane. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it. They made love that night like it was the last time, desperate, clinging, memorizing each other in case tomorrow brought endings instead of beginnings. Jihoon left at dawn, dressed in all black, his expression carved from stone. He kissed Nalani goodbye at the door, his lips lingering on hers. "I'll be back by nightfall." "You better be." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Then he was gone, taking half his men with him. The safe house felt too quiet. Nalani paced the living room, while the remaining guards stood sentinel outside. Hours crawled by. She tried to read, to eat, to distract herself. Nothing worked. By noon, her nerves were frayed. By 3, she was convinced something had gone wrong. At 4, the first guard's body hit the ground. Nalani heard the muffled thump, her blood going cold. She ran to the window, peering through the screen. Men in black surrounded the house, but they weren't Jihoon's men. She recognized the one in front. Choi Sang-woo, her father's enforcer. They'd found her. The front door exploded inward. Nalani ran for the back exit, her heart hammering, but more men waited there, cutting off her escape. She was trapped. Sang-woo entered slowly, his smile cold. "Miss Kane, your father sends his regards. Where's Jihoon?" She demanded, fear clawing at her throat. "Dealing with a rather large distraction. Your father knew Lee would never leave you unguarded, so we created a scenario that required his personal attention." Sang-woo moved closer. A shame, really. By the time he realizes the meeting was a trap, we'll be long gone. "You bastard. Now. No need for insults. You're coming home, Miss Kane, where you belong." Nalani backed away, her mind racing. She couldn't fight them, couldn't run. But she'd promised Jihoon she wouldn't leave, and breaking that promise felt like betrayal. Then she saw it. Jihoon's gun, hidden in the drawer of the side table. He'd left it for her, just in case. She lunged for it, but Sang-woo was faster. His hand clamped around her wrist, yanking her back. "Don't make this difficult. Let me go." "Miss Kane!" The window exploded. Jihoon crashed through in a shower of glass, his suit torn, blood on his knuckles. His eyes found hers, wild with fear and rage. "Get away from her!" Sang-woo pulled a gun, pressing it to Nalani's temple. "Another step, and I'll kill her." Jihoon froze. For the first time since she'd known him, Nalani saw real fear in his eyes. "You don't want to do that," Jihoon said, his voice deadly calm. "Don't I?" Sang-woo's finger tightened on the trigger. "Her father wants her alive, but he didn't specify in what condition. I could put a bullet in her leg, her shoulder, make her scream until—" Jihoon moved faster than thought, closing the distance and twisting the gun away in one fluid motion. Sang-woo hit the floor, and Jihoon's fist connected with his face. Once, twice, 3 times. "Jihoon, stop!" Nalani grabbed his arm. "You'll kill him!" "That's the idea. Please." He looked at her, blood spattering his face, his chest heaving. Then slowly, he released Sang-woo, who collapsed unconscious. Jihoon turned to her, his hands shaking as they framed her face. "Are you hurt?" "No, I'm okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have known it was a trap. I should have—" She kissed him, tasting copper and desperation. "You came back. That's all that matters." Around them, Jihoon's men secured the house, dragging away her father's forces. But Nalani only had eyes for him, this man who'd crashed through a window to save her. "We need to leave," Jihoon said finally. "Now, before your father regroups." "Leave how? He has men everywhere." "I have a plane waiting. We'll be in Tokyo by midnight." He took her hand. "Pack nothing. Bring nothing. We leave now, or we don't leave at all." They drove in silence, Jehoon's hand tight around hers. His men formed a convoy around them, watching for threats. At the private airfield, a jet waited, engines already running. "What about your business?" Nalani asked as they boarded. "Your territory? Your men?" "I'm leaving it to my second in command. Everything's arranged." Jehoon settled into the leather seat beside her. "None of it matters without you. You're giving up your empire. For me. I'm choosing you over everything else." He lifted her hand, pressing his lips to her palm. "There's a difference." The plane lifted off, Seoul falling away beneath them. Nalani watched the city lights fade, feeling like she was leaving behind more than just a place. She was leaving behind the woman who'd arrived 3 weeks ago, lost, afraid, invisible. The woman beside Jehoon now was different, seen, chosen, loved. "What happens now?" she asked. Jehoon pulled her closer, tucking her against his side. "Now, we start over. New names, new lives, new everything. Will we be safe? Eventually. Your father will search for a while, but without me to fight, he'll lose interest. We'll just be ghosts." He kissed her forehead. "Boring ghosts who live quiet lives and grow old together. Sounds perfect. It will be. I promise." The apartment was small, nothing like Jehoon's Seoul penthouse. 2 bedrooms, a cramped kitchen, wand windows overlooking a quiet street in Setagaya Ward. But it was theirs, and that made it perfect. "It's not much," Jehoon said, setting down their single bag. Nalani turned to him, wrapping her arms around his waist. "It's everything." They spent the first week learning to be normal. Jehoon bought groceries at the corner store, wearing jeans and a baseball cap instead of expensive suits. Nalani explored the neighborhood, her hair loose and natural, sunglasses hiding her face more from habit than necessity. No one knew them here. No one cared. It was liberating and terrifying in equal measure. "I got a job," Jehoon announced one evening, setting down takeout boxes. Nalani looked up from her book. "Doing what?" "Security consultation. It's legitimate, pays well, and uses my previous skills." "Previous skills, meaning your ability to intimidate people with a single look?" He smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his face. "Exactly." They ate dinner on the floor, boxes spread between them, laughing about his new boss, who spoke terrible English. It felt surreal, domestic, like playing house. But Nalani couldn't shake the feeling that it was too easy. "What are you thinking?" Jehoon asked, catching her distant expression. "That I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop." He set down his chopsticks. "Your father hasn't made a move in 2 weeks. My sources say he's focused on consolidating power in Seoul. He thinks we're in Europe. But what if? No what-ifs." He reached across, taking her hand. "We're safe here, I promise." She wanted to believe him. But 3 weeks ago, she'd believed her father would never sell her. A week ago, she'd believed Jehoon had betrayed her. Trust was a fragile thing, easily broken. A month later, life settled into routine. Jehoon left for work each morning in business casual clothes, returning each evening with stories about difficult clients and office politics. Nalani enrolled in a Japanese language course at the Ioi Community Center, slowly building a life that felt real. At night, they explored each other with increasing intimacy, learning to be lovers without the urgency of danger driving them. Jehoon was patient, attentive, and worshipful. He traced every curve of her body like reading Braille, memorizing what made her sigh, moan, surrender. "I love you like this," he murmured one night, his body moving slowly inside hers. Relaxed. Happy. Mine. "I've always been yours," she gasped. "No. Before, you were mine by circumstance. Now, you're mine by choice." He kissed her deeply. "There's a difference." Afterwards, wrapped in sheets and moonlight, Nalani traced the scar on his shoulder. "Do you miss it?" Your old life. Sometimes. The power. The respect. Knowing I could change things with a single phone call. He caught her hand, pressing it over his heart. But then I look at you, and I remember what that life cost me. The violence, the paranoia, never knowing who to trust. Do you trust me? With everything. His eyes met hers. Do you trust me? She thought about it, really thought. I'm learning to. That's honest. I'll take it. Nalani found work at a small flower shop 3 blocks from their apartment. The owner, an elderly Japanese woman named Yuki-san, spoke minimal English, but communicated through gestures and patience. You have good hands, Yuki-san said one afternoon, watching Nalani arrange roses. Gentle. Flowers respond to gentle. Nalani smiled, tying off the bouquet with ribbon. The work was simple, repetitive, and she loved it. No politics, no danger. Just flowers and customers, and the quiet satisfaction of creating something beautiful. She was carrying a delivery to a nearby office building when she saw him, a man in a black suit standing across the street. Watching, her blood went cold. He looked Korean, too well dressed for the neighborhood, and the way he held himself, still alert, dangerous, reminded her of her father's men. Nalani ducked into the building, her heart hammering. She made the delivery on autopilot, then peered out the lobby window. The man was gone. She told herself she was being paranoid. Tokyo was full of businessmen. It didn't mean anything. But that night, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. What's wrong? Jihoon asked over dinner. Nothing. Just tired. He studied her, his eyes too perceptive. You're lying. I'm fine. Nalani. I said I'm fine. She stood abruptly, carrying her plate to the sink. Can we please just have one normal evening without talking about danger and threats and my father? Jihoon was quiet for a long moment. Then, okay, I'm sorry. She felt guilty immediately. He was just trying to protect her. But the constant vigilance was exhausting. She wanted to believe they were safe, needed to believe it. I'm going to take a bath, she said quietly. Okay. But as she soaked in the small tub, she couldn't stop thinking about the man in the black suit. 2 days later, Nalani saw him again. Same suit, same watching posture. This time, outside the community center after her Japanese class. She pulled out her phone, hands shaking, and called Jihoon. I'm not being paranoid, she said when he answered. There's a man following me. Korean. Black suit. I've seen him twice now. Where are you? Community center on Nakamachi. Stay inside. I'm 10 minutes away. She waited in the lobby, watching through the glass doors. The man remained across the street, pretending to look at his phone. But his attention never wavered from the entrance. Jihoon's car screeched to a stop outside. He emerged, his expression cold and dangerous. The Mafia Boss she hadn't seen in weeks. The man in the black suit saw him and ran. Jihoon pursued without hesitation, disappearing around a corner. Nalani rushed outside, her heart in her throat. Minutes passed. Then Jihoon reappeared, dragging the man by his collar. He shoved him against a wall, his forearm pressed to the man's throat. Who sent you? Jihoon demanded in Korean. The man spit in his face. Jihoon's expression didn't change. He pressed harder, cutting off air. Last chance. Who sent you? No one, the man gasped. I'm just looking for work. Liar. Jihoon released him long enough to pull out his phone, showing the man a photo. This is your file. Park Ji-hun. Worked for Victor Kane's organization for 6 years. Specialized in tracking and extraction. The man's face paled. So I'll ask again. Did Victor Kane send you? He sent 20 of us, Ji-hun gasped, searching every major city in Asia. We're not here to extract her, just to confirm the location. And then what? Then he comes himself. Nalani's stomach dropped. When? Ji-hoon's eyes found hers, something almost pitying in his expression. He's already here. Arrived in Tokyo yesterday. They packed in silence, throwing clothes and documents into bags. Ji-hoon was on his phone constantly, speaking rapid Korean, his jaw tight with tension. We need to leave Tokyo tonight, he said, hanging up. I have contacts in Osaka who can hide us for a few days while I arrange new documents. And then where? Nalani asked, her voice hollow. I don't know. Somewhere farther. Maybe America. Or South America. He crossed to her, hands framing her face. I'm sorry. I thought we'd have more time. It's not your fault. It is. I should have known your father wouldn't give up. Should have taken you farther away from the start. Where? Antarctica? She laughed bitterly. You said it yourself, there's nowhere he can't reach. Then I'll make somewhere. His eyes blazed. I'll build you a fortress, hire an army, whatever it takes. I don't want a fortress. I want a life. You'll have one. I promise. But the promise felt hollow now. They'd been living on borrowed time, and the debt was coming due. They took separate cabs to Tokyo Station, planning to meet at platform 9 for the Shinkansen to Osaka. Ji-hoon went first, his bag slung over his shoulder, his eyes constantly scanning. Nalani followed 20 minutes later, her heart hammering the entire drive. She was halfway across the station concourse when someone grabbed her arm. Hello, daughter. Victor Kane looked older than she remembered, grayer, harder. But his eyes held the same cold calculation they always had. Dad, she breathed. Don't run. Don't scream. Don't do anything stupid. He smiled, but it was all teeth. We're going to have a conversation. You, me, and your lover. Won't that be nice? Ji-hoon will kill you. Ji-hoon, Victor said, his accent turning the name into something mocking. Will do exactly what I tell him. Because if he doesn't, you die. Simple math. He guided her through the crowd, his grip iron on her elbow. They entered a private lounge, the kind reserved for VIPs. Inside, a dozen men waited. And in the center, forced to his knees with a gun to his head, was Ji-hoon. No! Nalani tried to run to him, but her father held her back. Nalani, don't! Ji-hoon's words were cut off as the guard struck him across the face. Stop it! She screamed. Gladly! Victor released her, gesturing to a chair. Sit. Both of you. We have much to discuss. Nalani moved to Ji-hoon, her hands shaking as she touched his face. Blood trickled from his split lip, but his eyes were fierce when they met hers. I'm sorry, he whispered. For what? For not protecting you better. Touching, Victor interrupted. But we're not here for sentiment. We're here to end this ridiculous situation. He settled into a chair across from them, crossing his legs casually. Lee Ji-hoon, you've been a thorn in my side for years. Destroyed my shipments. Killed my men. Cost me millions. You did the same to me, Ji-hoon said coldly. True, it was good business. Competition keeps us sharp. Victor pulled out a cigar, lighting it slowly. But then you took my daughter. Made it personal. You were selling her. I was securing her future. There's a difference. Victor's eyes flicked to Nalani. You've always been ungrateful. I gave you everything. Education, safety, a life of luxury. And this is how you repay me? Running off with a criminal? Spreading your legs for my enemy? Don't talk to her like that, Ji-hoon growled. The guard pressed the gun harder against his skull. Victor continued, as if Ji-hoon hadn't spoken. Here's what's going to happen. You, my dear daughter, are coming home with me. We'll explain to Park Min-sok that you were kidnapped and traumatized. He's a forgiving man. The wedding will proceed as planned. No, Nalani whispered. Yes. And Lee Ji-hoon will watch you leave. Then, If he's smart, he'll return to Seoul, rebuild his crumbling empire, and forget you ever existed. Victor's smile was cruel. If he's not smart, he'll try to come for you, and I'll have him killed, along with everyone he's ever cared about. You can't. I can. I will. Victor stood, straightening his suit. Make your choice, daughter. A comfortable life as Park Min-suk's wife, or Ji-hoon's death. What's it going to be? Nalani looked at Ji-hoon, tears streaming down her face. His eyes held hers, and she saw resignation there. Acceptance. He was going to let her go. Don't, she whispered. Don't give up on us. I'm not giving up. I'm letting you live. He smiled, broken and beautiful. That's what love is, Nalani, sacrifice. No, that's not. She turned to her father. What if I have another option? Victor raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. Let him go. I'll come with you willingly. I'll marry Min-suk. I'll be the perfect daughter. But you have to promise, swear on your life, that Ji-hoon and his people are left alone. Nalani, don't, Ji-hoon started. Interesting, Victor mused. But what guarantee do I have that you won't run the moment you have a chance? Because I'll have nothing to run to. She looked at Ji-hoon, memorizing every line of his face. If you promise to leave him alone, I'll never try to contact him again. I'll accept my fate. I'll be exactly what you need me to be. No! Ji-hoon lunged forward, but the guards held him. Nalani, please, don't do this. I have to. She cupped his face, her hands shaking. You said love is sacrifice. This is mine. She kissed him, desperate, final, tasting salt and copper and goodbye. Then she pulled away and turned to her father. Do we have a deal? Victor studied her for a long moment. Then he smiled. We have a deal. 3 months later, the wedding was everything Victor wanted. Grand, expensive, a display of power and wealth. Nalani wore white and smiled for the cameras and pretended her heart wasn't bleeding. Park Min-suk was kind in his way. He didn't force himself on her, didn't demand affection she couldn't give. They existed in the same house like polite strangers, and he seemed content with that. Your father told me you were kidnapped, Min-suk said one night over dinner. That Lee Ji-hoon traumatized you. Yes, Nalani lied. It's understandable that you need time. I'm a patient man. Thank you. She spent her days playing the perfect wife, attending charity events, hosting dinner parties, smiling until her face hurt. At night, she lay in a bedroom that felt like a mausoleum and remembered what it felt like to be held by someone who loved her. Her father had kept his promise. According to the whispers she overheard, Ji-hoon had returned to Seoul briefly to settle his affairs, then disappeared. Some said he went to Europe, others said America. Nalani hoped he was happy, hoped he'd found peace, hoped he'd forgotten her. But she couldn't forget him. Every night she relived their time together, his laugh, his touch, the way he looked at her like she was his entire world. She was dying slowly, and no one seemed to notice. Nalani moved through the ballroom in a designer gown, champagne in hand, playing her role perfectly. Min-suk was across the room, discussing business with other powerful men. Her father held court near the bar, his empire rebuilt and stronger than ever. Everyone had won except her. Mrs. Park. She turned to find a young man bowing politely. He looked vaguely familiar, Korean, well-dressed, respectful. Yes? There's someone who would like to speak with you, in private. He gestured toward a side door. He said you would want to. Nalani's heart stuttered. Who? He didn't give his name, but he said to tell you. The young man leaned closer, his voice dropping. The champagne here is terrible. Her breath caught. It couldn't be. It wasn't possible. Where? She whispered. The garden. Through that door. But ma'am, you should know. If your father sees you leave, There will be consequences. I don't care. She set down her champagne and walked toward the door, her pulse racing. Behind her, the party continued, oblivious. She slipped outside into the manicured gardens, the cool night air hitting her face. And there, waiting in the shadows, was Jihoon. He looked different. Leaner. Harder. A new scar across his eyebrow. But his eyes were the same. Dark. Intense. Focused entirely on her. "Hello, Nalani." She ran to him, and he caught her, his arms closing around her like coming home. She buried her face in his chest, breathing him in, unable to speak past the tears. "I'm sorry," he murmured into her hair. "I'm so sorry. I should have fought harder, should have refused to let you go. You're here now. That's all that matters." He pulled back, his hands framing her face. "I've spent 3 months planning this, calling in every favor, building every alliance, preparing for war." His eyes blazed. "I'm taking you back, Nalani. Tonight. And your father can try to stop me, but he'll fail. He'll kill you. Let him try." Jihoon's smile was all edges. "I'm not the same man I was 3 months ago. I've spent every day getting stronger, smarter, more dangerous. I've built an army. Made connections your father can't touch. I own half the police force, 3/4 of the politicians." He kissed her fiercely. "And I'm done playing by his rules. Jihoon, no. Listen to me. You sacrificed everything for me. Now it's my turn." He took her hand. "There's a car waiting 2 blocks from here. We leave now together, and we never look back. And my father? We'll realize that some things aren't worth the cost of taking." His jaw tightened. "I've made it clear, very clear, that if he comes for us again, I'll destroy everything he's built. His ports, his connections, his reputation. I'll burn it all until there's nothing left but ash." "He won't believe you." "He already does." Jihoon pulled out his phone, showing her a video. Her father, in his office, listening to someone off camera, his face going pale, then furious, then resigned. "What did you do?" "I proved I'm willing to go further than he is, that I value you more than my own life." Jihoon tucked the phone away. "He has a choice now. Accept that you're mine, and live with a powerful enemy who'll leave him alone, or fight me and lose everything, including his life." "You're insane. I'm in love. Same thing." He tugged her toward the garden gate. "Come with me. Right now. Or stay and live a life that's killing you slowly. Your choice." Nalani looked back at the ballroom, glittering with lies and false smiles. Then she looked at Jihoon. Dangerous. Devoted. Hers. "Let's go." They ran through the gardens like thieves in the night, Jihoon's hand tight around hers. Behind them, the gala continued, oblivious. Ahead, the street waited with promises of freedom. A black car idled at the corner, exactly where Jihoon said it would be. He opened the door, helping her inside, then slid in beside her. "Drive," he commanded. The car pulled away smoothly, merging into Tokyo traffic. Nalani watched through the rear window, half expecting to see her father's men pouring from the hotel. But the street remained empty. "Where are we going?" she asked. "The airport. I have a private jet waiting." Jihoon's arm wrapped around her shoulders, pulling her close. "We'll be in Singapore by morning." "Singapore?" "I own property there. Buildings, businesses, enough legitimate operations that your father can't touch us without starting an international incident." His lips pressed to her temple. "And I've made arrangements, legal arrangements, marriage certificates, citizenship papers, everything we need to disappear into a life he can't reach." Nalani twisted to face him. "Marriage certificates? If you'll have me." His eyes searched hers, vulnerable despite the confidence in his voice. "I know it's fast. I know we've barely had time to be normal. But I'm done waiting, Nalani. Done pretending I can live without you." You're proposing in a getaway car? I'm proposing everywhere, every moment, every breath. He cupped her face. Marry me. Not because you have to, not because it's strategic, but because you can't imagine your life without me in it. She kissed him instead of answering, deep, desperate, full of 3 months of longing. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she whispered, Yes, 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 I'll marry you. Yes, I'll go to Singapore. Yes to everything, as long as it's with you. Jehoon's smile was blinding. He kissed her again, softer this time, reverent. I promise you, he murmured against her lips. I will spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret this. I won't. I couldn't. In Singapore, the city-state sprawls beneath them like a jewel. Jehoon's car met them on the tarmac, driving them through streets that smelled of rain and possibility. The penthouse was even more beautiful than Seoul's, all glass and light overlooking Marina Bay. But it felt different. Warmer. Like a home instead of a fortress. This is ours, Jehoon said, setting down their bags. No guards inside. No weapons hidden in drawers. Just us. Nalani walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the sun rise over the water. It's beautiful. You're beautiful. He came up behind her, his arms wrapping around her waist. And you're exhausted. Sleep first. Wedding later. I'm too wired to sleep. Then let me help you relax. He guided her to the bedroom, sat her on the edge of the bed, and knelt to remove her heels. His hands were gentle as they massaged her feet, her ankles, her calves. You don't have to, she started. I want to. He looked up at her, his eyes soft. Let me take care of you, Nalani. You've been strong for so long. Let me be strong for you now. She felt tears prick her eyes. I don't know how to do that. Then we'll learn together. He undressed her slowly, reverently, replacing the designer gown with one of his shirts. Then he tucked her into bed, climbing in beside her and pulling her close. Sleep, he murmured. I'll be here when you wake up. Promise? Always. She drifted off to the sound of his heartbeat, steady and sure beneath her ear. They married at sunset in a small chapel overlooking the bay. No guests, no family, just them, an officiant, and 2 witnesses Jehoon had hired for the occasion. Nalani wore a simple white dress she'd bought that afternoon. Jehoon wore a dark suit, his hair pushed back, his eyes never leaving hers. Do you, Lee Jehoon, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. His voice was steady, certain. More than anything. And do you, Nalani Kane, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? She looked at him, this dangerous, devoted man who'd moved heaven and earth to have her back. I do. Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. Jehoon kissed her like he was sealing a promise, his hands framing her face, pouring everything he felt into that single moment. When they finally broke apart, both were smiling. Mrs. Lee, he murmured. Mrs. Lee, she repeated, testing the name. It felt right. Like coming home. They signed the papers in a daze, made it official, then drove back to the penthouse as the city lit up around them. I have something for you, Jehoon said once they were inside. He led her to the bedroom, where a large box sat on the bed. Nalani opened it to find stacks of papers, passports, citizenship documents, bank accounts, all in her new name. You're officially a Singaporean citizen, he explained, with a history, education records, everything you need to exist without your father's shadow. Nalani Lee, clean slate. She picked up the passport, staring at the name. Who am I now? Whoever you want to be. He stood behind her, his hands on her shoulders. An artist, a business owner, a wife, a mother. Anything except what your father tried to make you. What about you? Who are you now? Yours. He turned her, to face him. That's all I want to be. Yours. She kissed him, and he lifted her, carrying her to the bed they'd share for the rest of their lives. There was no urgency this time, no fear, no danger waiting in the wings, just the two of them, finally free to love each other without looking over their shoulders. Jehoon undressed her slowly, his hands trembling slightly. I've imagined this so many times, he whispered. Having you like this, knowing you're mine, really mine. I've always been yours. No. Before, we were stolen moments, borrowed time. He kissed her collarbone, her shoulder, the curve of her breast. This is different. This is forever. He made love to her with devastating thoroughness, learning every inch of her body all over again. Every touch was worship, every kiss a promise. And when they finally came together, moving in perfect rhythm, it felt like more than physical. It felt like souls merging. I love you, he gasped against her neck. God, Nalani, I love you so much. I love you too. She clung to him, her nails digging into his shoulders. Don't ever let me go. Never. Not even in death. Afterwards, they lay tangled together, skin to skin, hearts beating in sync. Tell me something, Nalani murmured. Something I don't know about you. Jehoon was quiet for a moment, his fingers tracing patterns on her hip. I'm terrified. Of what? That I'll wake up and this will be a dream. That you'll realize you deserve better and leave. That your father will find a way to take you back. He pulled her closer. That I'm not enough to make you happy. You're more than enough. She kissed his chest, right over his heart. You're everything. Then stay with me, even when it's hard, even when I'm difficult, even when... Always, she interrupted. I'm not going anywhere, Jehoon. You're stuck with me now. His laugh was relieved, joyful. Best prison sentence ever. They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, finally at peace. 6 months later, life in Singapore was everything they'd dreamed. Jehoon's businesses thrived, his tech investments paying off beyond expectation. Nalani opened a small art gallery in the cultural district, showcasing local artists and slowly building a reputation. They were normal, boring, happy. Some nights, Jehoon would wake up in a cold sweat, reaching for weapons that weren't there, convinced someone was coming for them. Nalani would hold him, whispering reassurances until his breathing steadied. Other nights, she'd dream of her father's cold eyes, her wedding to Minsuk, the life she'd barely escaped. Jehoon would wake her with kisses, pulling her back to reality. They were healing together, learning to trust the peace they'd built. I have news, Nalani said one evening over dinner. Jehoon looked up from his laptop. Good news or bad news? That depends on your perspective. Now I'm worried. She pulled out a small white stick from her pocket, setting it on the table between them. 2 pink lines stared up at him. Jehoon stared at it for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then his eyes lifted to hers, and she saw wonder there, and fear, and overwhelming joy. You're pregnant? About 8 weeks, according to the doctor. He stood so quickly his chair fell backward, coming around the table to pull her into his arms. Are you sure? Is everything okay? Do you need to sit down? Should you be... Jehoon! She laughed, cupping his face. Breathe. I'm fine. The baby's fine. Everything's fine. We're having a baby. He said it like testing out the words. Then again, with more confidence. We're having a baby. We're having a baby. He kissed her, deep and thorough, his hand shaking against her back. When he pulled away, there were tears in his eyes. I'm going to be a father. The best father, she assured him. I know you're scared, but you're going to be amazing. I don't know how to be a father. My own was... Not you. You're nothing like him. She placed his hand on her still flat stomach. This baby is going to be so loved, so protected, so safe. Safe, he repeated, his jaw tightening. I need to increase security, hire more guards. Maybe we should move to a more secure... No. She caught his face, forcing him to look at her. No more running, no more fear. We're raising this child in peace, remember? In a world where love matters more than danger. But your father hasn't contacted us in 6 months, has no reason to. He's moved on, and so have we. She kissed him softly. Trust me. Trust us. Trust this. Jehoon closed his eyes, breathing deeply. Then he nodded. Okay, you're right. I'm just terrified. I know. So am I, she smiled. But we'll figure it out together. Together, he agreed. The contraction started at 3 in the morning. Jehoon went from asleep to fully awake in seconds, his training kicking in even in civilian life. Hospital, now. Let me grab the bag. Where are your shoes? Is the car ready? Jehoon! Nalani gripped his hand through a contraction. Slow down. We have time. But the baby will come when she's ready, not before. They made it to the hospital with hours to spare. The delivery was long, exhausting, and more painful than Nalani had imagined. But every time she wanted to give up, Jehoon was there, holding her hand, wiping her forehead, whispering encouragement. You're doing so well, baby, so strong. Just a little more. I'm right here. I'm not leaving. And when their daughter finally arrived, screaming and perfect, Jehoon cried. The doctor placed the baby in Nalani's arms, and they both stared in wonder at the tiny life they'd created. She's perfect, Jehoon whispered. She's ours. Their daughter had Nalani's full lips and Jehoon's dark eyes, a perfect blend of both of them. What should we name her? Nalani asked. Jehoon traced a finger down their daughter's cheek. Hana. It means one in Korean, because she's our one miracle, our one perfect thing. Hana Lee. Nalani tested the name. I love it. They spent hours like that, taking turns holding her, marveling at her tiny fingers and toes, unable to believe something so beautiful had come from their chaotic love story. I'm never letting anything hurt her, Jehoon said fiercely. Never. I know. I'll build her the safest life, the happiest life. She'll never know fear. Never know what it's like to be used or manipulated or... Jehoon! Nalani caught his hand. She's going to be fine. We're going to be fine, because she has us, and we have each other. He looked at her, his eyes bright with emotion. How did I get so lucky? We both got lucky. She leaned her head on his shoulder, watching their daughter sleep. Out of all the chaos and danger and pain, we found this, found each other, found her.